Okay, so we are all here and let's start again. So welcome to my webinar, and my name is Tanya Ince, and I'm a life coach, energy psychology practitioner, astrologer, and I want to talk to you about this topic because this topic was really important in my life. So at some point, I found that I really need to find the answer to this question. How can I be happier? How can I be more at peace? And I actually learned a lot of things, a lot of methods that could help people to become more at peace and happier in their life over the years. And on this slide, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and who I am. So all my life, I was really interested in personal development and in spirituality. And I read so many different books on self-help and on different spiritual paths and religious and not religious, different type of teachings that could help us to be happier. And then about 5 years ago, so that started, that interest in personal growth and spirituality started for me when I was a teenager. And then by the time I was 30, I read probably, well, I read a lot of books. And I got 2 graduate degrees as well. So I also pursued the common path to that everybody is going through graduate school. One graduate school was in physics. I got master's in physics and then PhD in economics. And then by the time I was 30, I had my dream job in academia. I was teaching at Emory University. I had a very good, happy relationship. But at the same time, I realized I'm still not happy. Even after reading hundreds and hundreds of different books, studying different things, I realized that, well, something is not clicking. Why am I still lost in my life? What I realized is that actually I need to know who I am first, and then I can be happy. If I know myself better, I can find that peace and that peace that I'm looking in different teachings and different books. I can find it in my heart. And that was a huge realization. So I started actually exploring who I am. I also found out that actually I don't really know what I like and what my passions are. So that started my journey at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which I finished, I think, around 2011. So I started a lot about food, but it was actually a very deep exploration of who I am. And then I also knew that I'm actually passionate. I like studying nutrition, but I'm actually passionate about spiritual growth. And so I went to the Pathways of Light Spiritual College, which is a great school to really deepen your spiritual practice. And because I wanted to help other people as well to find their spiritual path, I really enjoyed learning, going through this ministerial training and getting that training in how to be a counselor and how to be a relationship counselor, as well as just personal ministerial counselor. And then finally this year I finished a program at Ericsson International Coaching, which is a general life coach education. So eventually what I want to talk about today is where we want to create more peace, where you want to create more peace in your life. So that could be different for everyone. So before we start, I would like us to actually think about it. You can think about where you want more peace in your life, and then we can join our intention so that we can actually focus on these goals. So you can just write it down for yourself. Where would you like more peace in your life? It could be your job, it could be your relationship, it could be anything. It could be a business, could be even just in how you were thinking about yourself as well. So write it down for yourself, and let's join together and just take a few deep breaths together. And as we're breathing, let's just let everything else that is distracting us from this one purpose to create more peace, let it go. Let it all go. And be completely present here in your body and feel how you feel it in your body and in your heart. Just feel it for a moment. So now when you have your intention for this webinar, let's continue and we will talk about it a little more. So I wanted to start with the definition of stress. So what is actually stress? There are different definitions. I was surprised to find out that there are several definitions that we can look at. So in the dictionary, you can find that it's physical, mental, and emotional strain or tension. Also, it's defined as a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that demands exceed the personal and social resources the individual is able to mobilize. So then I created this equation that balance between demands and resources, right? And I think it's really logical. It's a logical way of thinking about stress, because if we think that demands are greater than the resources that we have, then we feel that it's just not enough. Our resources are not enough. So this a little equation can be helpful to have in front of you, and just to ask yourself, how are my resources doing today, and can I increase my resources? So that actually our natural way is to be completely healthy and completely happy, and we don't have to be stressed. If we just think about our resources and keeping them all the time at a very high level. And then the first definition of stress was given by Hans Selye, who was a Hungarian cardiologist or endocrinologist actually. And he said that it's a non-specific response of the body to any demand for change. So it's a very broad definition. I also like one quote that he said. He said that adopting the right attitude can convert a negative stress into a positive one. So even though it happened many years ago, he realized that our attitude, our thoughts can actually be so important in shifting what we perceive as a stress. So next, I want to talk about what happens in our body when we feel stress. So that's something that is very familiar to all of us, because we, in this world, in modern world, right now we are just bombarded with so much information and different demands, right? So when we feel that the level of demands are just too high, we can notice that we are in this fight or flight mode, and that's the time when cortisol and adrenaline are being released, the hormones, and then in our body there's actually a lot of changes are happening simultaneously, and it's a mix of different chemicals are being released. Our heart is beating faster. We could also feel shortness of breath or chest pain. As a result of stress, we could feel different. Actually, it could cause, over time, it could cause different disorders in our body, like migraine headaches, sleep disorders, muscle tension, high blood pressure. This is all a result of stress. And then right now we are finding, researchers are finding that more and more diseases are caused by stress, which is basically just the wrong attitude in our mind. But we will talk about it later. Then many digestive problems are related to stress, and of course emotionally we might feel different emotions. We might feel fear, anger, anxiety, and eventually depression. And then stress also causes heart attack, stroke, or even cancer. So all of this this is also something that we can use to identify that we are stressed. So just looking at our heart rate, is our heart beating right now faster? Do we feel like there is a constriction in the chest area, right? So this is something to observe in ourselves. So I wanted to show you this picture that shows that balance between demands and resources. And for each of us, this balance will be different. And you might feel that you have so many demands right now that the resources are just not enough. And on that scale, so I'm thinking that we can actually right now rate your level of stress on a scale from 1 to 10 to begin with. And you can actually take a longer survey when you have time, and you have this link below. I'm going to send you the slides after the presentation, so you can go on that link and fill out the survey if you haven't done so. And it's a survey that is done by HeartMath Institute. Very insightful survey that will tell you exactly what happens with your stress level. But right now, let's just rate your level of stress on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is just the most stress possible, and 1 would be no stress at all. And I'm going to do the same. So you can draw this scale on a sheet of paper and just put your current stress level somewhere on that scale from 1 to 10. So I'm somewhere around 3 or 4 right now, because I'm a little nervous using this new resource, new software for presentation, for the webinar. So I will put it at 3 or 4. And you have your rating for your stress level. So now, what are some common factors that can cause us stress? There are different surveys that were done in the US, and some common factors include, a very common factor would include finances, money, job, career, relationships, then colleagues at work. Then it could be also our family members. Holiday travel also causes stress to people, and then just not enough time, too much to do. Home, organizing our home, right? Or not organized or disorganized home. Children, school, just lack of energy, general lack of energy, or perfectionism, right? Wanting everything to be perfect, and that self-criticism, negative self-talk. So these are common stressors that I found, and that could be familiar to you or not. But I want to actually look at your life right now, and we can use this tool and just to draw a circle and look at different areas of your life. So I have a circle here with career, money, health. So you can draw a circle and then divide it half, and then divide it again in half, and then draw 2 more lines, and you have 8 parts in this circle. Sometimes it's called the wheel of life. And of course, you have different areas of your life that you can think about. I have here career, money, health, friends and family, significant other or romance, personal growth, fun and recreation, and then physical environment. So that circle is just something that we can talk about just by itself. When I'm working with my coaching clients, we go through each of these areas of life and looking at the level of satisfaction with each of them. But for now, let's just think about what stresses you out the most in your life. one area of life. I want you to pick that, just whatever comes to your mind first, because that's probably what it is. You got it? So you don't have to tell me or type in the chat, just think about it. How does it make you feel? And we're going to do a little exercise together. So when we do this exercise, I'm actually going to, I want you to see me. Okay. So I want to do a little exercise, and we are going to focus on that area of life where you don't feel completely at peace. So pick whatever it is. And then we are going to do an energy psychology exercise that is called tapping. And we are going to tap on a few points. One point will be the beginning of the eyebrow. So these points are energy meridian points that are where in our energy system where we can connect to the thought, to the thought field, to the thought of that issue that you're thinking about, and release whatever is blocking that. So let's say we are thinking about finances, and you will think about your own issue. You can actually write down what you're going to focus on, where you would like to get that clarity, peace. So I'm going to write finances just as an example, and we are going to focusing on the finances. We are going to tap, and first we will start with the point over here on your hand over here. Okay, there is a little part, it's called a karate chop point, just because it's here, and we're going to tap here, focusing on the area where you would like more peace. So I'm focusing on finances and tapping. And then tap on the beginning of your eyebrow. So it's like lightly touching, it's not heavy, just a little bit. So this technique is called thought field therapy. It's similar to emotional freedom technique or EFT. And then under the eye, we just need 5 or 7 taps. Under the eye, focusing on whatever that issue is you want to find peace in. Okay, and then under your arm over here, just for women, it's where our brow is, brow line. Okay, and I'm just putting this hand over here, just okay. So just tap in here, and then on the collarbone. So it's where just 1 inch below this V line, and then 1 inch to the left or to the right, doesn't matter which side. Tap here. And take a breath. And then we're going to include 2 more points on the fingers, because sometimes when we feel stressed, or when we feel some unrest, we might also feel guilt or anger. So we're going to tap on the beginning of the fingernail on the index finger, just like this, to release guilt. And tap on the collarbone again over here. So you just do what I'm doing, focusing on what you are focusing. And then on the little finger. Okay. Take a deep breath. So that then you can feel, after doing all of this, you might feel a shift, a little shift, and you can actually track how much better are you feeling right now and record that. So if you, let's say you were at 10, then later right now you can see, okay, I feel a little bit better, a little more space. And then in order to just stabilize what we just did, we are going to tap on a point between these two knuckles on any of your hands, the last two knuckles, and a little bit below over here. So we are tapping. While we are tapping, we're going to activate different parts of your brain. So you can close your eyes and tap. Open your eyes. And then look down and to the left. Look down and to the right. And now make a circle counterclockwise, just looking at on the right, looking at the ceiling, and on the left and down. And then we're going to make a circle in the opposite direction. So you look left, up to the ceiling, and right and down, tapping at the same time. So I know it's not, if you didn't do it before, it could be not really, can sound not familiar or strange, but just do it and see what happens. And then we're going to hum a few notes. So again, it's just activating different parts in your brain. So when we are singing, one part of the brain lights up. When we are counting numbers, then different part is working. So now we're going to hum. Let's say we're going to hum. You can hum whatever you want. And now count from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hum a few notes again. So now we integrated that healing that we did before, and we're going to tap again on the eyebrow, so here on the beginning of the eyebrow, 5 times, or doesn't matter how many. And then under the eye, focusing on whatever is left of your of that emotion that you felt before, the issue. I'm thinking about finances, or whatever is left about that issue. And under the arm, and on the collarbone. That's the end of the process. Breathe. So now, just notice how does it feel. If you feel a little different right now, maybe a little bit more at peace. Maybe not, but when you're doing this, you can do it yourself, and you can just see if you need another round. You can do it one more time. Okay, so that's something I wanted to show you. And then I'm going to go back to my slides. Okay. So I want to tell you about this idea that our body is actually a complex energy system. It's like a battery. It works as a battery, and it actually is emitting energy all the time. And I already mentioned Heart Math Institute to you, but this organization has done so much, and they studied so much the human energy system and how our heart is actually all the time emitting electromagnetic frequency. And this is the picture that I found on their website, where it shows that the heart is actually emitting this wide electromagnetic field that actually is spreading about 3 feet around our body. So I wanted just to use this analogy of a battery, because if we know that our energy system is like a battery, then we can just think about what drains my energy and what energizes me, right? What helps me to be full of energy, right? And full of joy. And then we can, if I know this, if I know what drains my energy and what energizes me, I can do more of the activities that are energizing, and less of what drains me. And so, of course, it could mean that I need to change some of my habits, but this is necessary to do if you want to be happy. So if you want to be happy, we also want to be really proactive about what we are thinking, just self-aware about our thoughts, and changing those habits, because we learn so much. We learn so much from childhood, and we learn different patterns, thinking patterns. Some of them are helpful, many of them are not helpful. So in order to undo them, we can do an exercise that I just showed. It's perfect for changing a thought pattern, or there are other things we can do. So these are some of the examples of things that can drain our energy, right? Like lack of sleep or lack of exercise. Could be it could be the habit of staying in the past, in the memories from the past. It could be also something that happened a long time ago that wasn't pleasant, past trauma that we don't even remember, but it's our body, our energy system has this ability to record everything that happened. If we don't consciously change what is recorded there, it's like a software that is recording everything that happened. And that's why sometimes we are thinking about things that happened a long time ago over and over, this repetitive thinking that is happening on autopilot. Seems like we cannot change it. That means that we need to erase what was recorded there before in order for us to create space for something new. So negative self-talk, that's also the reason why we have these negative thoughts that are repeating. Then I also put here lack of friends, because I think community and like-minded people are really, really helpful, and we can do only so much by ourselves, but when we have like-minded people in our life, we can do so much more. Yes, and then of course we want to have a good diet, and in the environment we have different toxins as well that are intervening with how our body works. So, and then of course what we see on TV can be it can be really can be adding to our stress level. And if that is true, then maybe once a week, maybe you can say no news for today. I'm actually not watching TV at all, only if I really want it, and I don't miss it at all. So I can watch movies on Netflix. There are great movies or TV shows, but I'm really not watching news on TV on a regular basis. So something else I want to tell you. I think I'm going to actually go to this slide and show you this, because we already started talking about it. This is a very important slide for me, because I probably have heard this expression before. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So everything starts with in our mind, in our thoughts, right? And eventually what we are thinking is creating our destiny. And sometimes we just say, oh, it happened to me. It just happened. And I'm just here and everything happens to me. Because we actually don't know what are the thoughts that are occurring, or we don't notice them. So becoming really aware of these thoughts that are playing, that were recorded in our mind and that are playing on automatically, is really important. So for me, when I realized about 5 years ago, I realized that, well, I actually don't like the thoughts that I have on a regular basis. That happened for me when I started with a simple exercise. I said to myself, I began to understand that change happens when I want to make some changes inside of me, and not when I'm looking for, let's say, a good job or a good relationship, a good friend, or somebody else to make me happy, right? So when I realized that only I can make myself happy, I decided to do this experiment. So I wanted to think only positive thoughts for 21 days. So the first couple of days were a big disappointment for me, because I just could see that it's just not possible. I cannot change these thoughts that easily. So then I just discovered that when I started to listen to those thoughts, I was thinking, where does this come from? These thoughts that are like self-criticizing, or just negative, just complaining about things that happen in my life, right? So and my goal was actually think only positive thoughts, because I wanted to make some positive changes in my life. I know it starts with myself. So then, and that was really really humbling experience. Then that's when I decided to practice every day, and change these thoughts one day at a time, and taking responsibility for them. So it's the first step, I think. So then that brings us to the next part: what energizes you? I'm going to tell you some potential activities and attitudes that could be energizing. And I'm going to talk about two main elements that were helpful for me. First, it was healthy lifestyle, and that's what I learned in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I experimented a lot with food, different types of food, and just noticing how I feel if I eat this diet, or how do I feel if I just drink juices. So I did also just juices for a few days, and that was a really interesting experience too. So healthy lifestyle. And then the second element that could help us to recharge our battery is actually becoming more self-aware about our thoughts, emotions, body sensations, what happens in the body, right? And then what kind of memories are coming up. So becoming more aware of what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing. And then I will talk later about three attitudes: open-mindedness, consistency, and then community. I already started a little bit talking about community. So then these are some ideas that I want to start with. So healthy lifestyle, that could be probably a topic for not just for 1 hour, but for a very long period of time, where we can talk about food separately, we can talk about body movement, creating a morning routine, really important part of it. I think part of a good lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, would be to have a really energizing morning routine when you are doing something that you love in the morning. And of course, I know that very often we wake up just before we have to go, and you might say, oh, I don't have time for to do something that I love in the morning. I just need to leave. And that's understandable, but just think about what are you going to create during your day, and even 5 minutes of sitting quietly could make a difference, or 5 minutes of reading an inspirational book that you enjoy. It could be something very simple, reading the book that you love. It could be a childhood book that you really enjoy. So anything that you love, even spending 5-10 minutes on this in the morning can change the whole day, because now you're in a good mood and you're ready for your energy level, your battery is higher. So I will talk a little more about this later. Spending time in nature is a great way to recharge. And now in summer, I live in the mountains in Boone, North Carolina. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Really beautiful time to be outside, so that I'm taking advantage of all the sunshine. And then intimacy with your partner, or it could be just sharing. Having a deep conversation with a friend can be really energizing as well. We all want to be understood and appreciated, and just sharing is so natural for us. And then humor and laughter, right? It's really healing to just laugh. play a comedy and laugh once a week at least. I mean, just spend time for relaxing, right? And just for yourself. Creative expression, it can be anything, could be painting, doing a painting, or I have a friend she enjoys doing postcards, really beautiful postcards, handmade postcards, or yeah, it could be anything. So anything that you create. Could be something very simple. I like writing a lot, so the writing is my way of my creative expression. So I'm going to ask you, or stop right here and ask you, what energizes you, and you can write it down too. So it could be some idea that comes to mind that you want to do more of. What energizes me? And so if you're ready and you wrote it down, I actually wrote down yoga and dance because I really enjoy movement, but yoga is just the right pace for me. And last week I did a very good dance class. Okay, so then I want to talk about self-awareness, because for me that was the key when my transformation started to happen, and I saw that these thoughts that I was talking about before, the self-criticism, complaining and saying, why is it happening to me? All of this started to change slowly when I started to become just paying attention to those thoughts. So I think it's the key. And ancient Greeks actually knew that. Aristotle said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And that's another quote by Billie Jean King. And he said that I think self-awareness is probably the most important thing towards being a champion. And I think it's definitely the most important thing. Self-awareness it takes practice. It takes practice to learn observing your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and actions, but it's so worth it. So we can do a little practice right now. So you can just close your eyes and just feel what you feel and think whatever comes to your mind. Now you can just notice what kind of thoughts are coming. Could be anything, could be something that is doesn't make any sense, but we are not going to judge the thought, but just invite it and say, just notice it. I noticed one thought that it seems like it's a little cold in this room, right? This temperature, observing the temperature. And then notice how your body feels. Do you have any tension in any area of your body, let's say shoulders, heart, chest area, right? What kind of emotion is the most dominant one? Sometimes when we start thinking about something, we might see an image from the past, let's say. So that's also something to observe. Why do I have this image right now? So that's self-observation. Also observing the actions, the actions that you're doing every day and how they are connected to your emotions. It's pretty interesting. So what helps, that's why after this first point, observe your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and actions, I have keep a journal or write a few pages in the morning, write morning pages, right? So keeping a journal actually trains our mind to be more self-reflective and to actually be more self-aware. It's really a therapeutic practice. Instead of um, instead of therapy, writing a journal can be very helpful. Or in addition. Anyway, try doing that, and it could be, so sometimes people don't keep a journal because they think I cannot write anything interesting, right? But you're doing it just for yourself. Nobody is going to see this, and it could be just writing a few sentences every day about what happened that day, what you're grateful for that day. Let's say the weather was great, and it was lovely. So something like this. And you can notice differences even after the first week when you start writing a journal, keeping a journal. So then spending time with yourself, right? It's another important part of self-awareness, right? Because in order to become aware of your thoughts and emotions, you need to actually pay attention to yourself. And that takes that takes love and appreciation towards who you are, and actually curiosity, that you want to know who you are more, and you want to give yourself that time. So spending time with yourself, it doesn't have to be like just close the doors and sit in a room by yourself. It could be going somewhere, but just enjoying, noticing how you feel in the let's say going to the movie and then enjoying it with yourself, right? Okay, then asking questions about your life, number 4, that help you grow and gain some clarity about yourself again. So I'm asking questions about your life, and the next point, number 5, identify your values. And then after that I said, what do you like and why? So for me, I realized that I actually don't know what I like and what I don't like, because I always focused on making somebody else happy instead of actually learning what I like and knowing what I like. So I started keeping that list of things I like, things I don't like, and doing more of what I like, and actually doing new things, because to find out what I like, or what I don't like. So and that will help to identify your values. So, and I think I might have time to talk about values a little more later. So 6 is make choices that are consistent with those values. So if you know that you really enjoy community, that's my passion, to build community of people, or to bring people together and inspire them. Actually, what we are doing right now is we gather together for this joint purpose, to create more peace in our life. That's what really energizes me. So making choices that are going to bring more energy to you. And that's only if you're doing what you are passionate about and what you love. And then making it a priority to do what you really love every week. I already mentioned this before, but I think it deserves its own point. Doing something that you love better every day, but if you cannot do it every day, at least do it a few times a week or once a week. It could be even a day just for yourself. And you will see that you will have more energy to focus on everything else that you have. And then 8 is to identify your strengths and areas of potential growth. So again, it comes from self-observation, just from noticing what I'm good at. Every one of us has unique value, unique talents, unique gifts that we can share with the world, and could be very different because we are so specialized. What I'm good at and what you're good at is not the same, but we can all share and contribute to the common well-being of everyone. And this is so beautiful. And then 9 is to connect with your wisest self for advice and inspiration. That also requires practice and just being more used to sitting, or not necessarily sitting, could be just staying quietly and listening to that inspiration, that intuition that comes from your wisest self. Sometimes, so I guess it's just, for me, it was just gradually and practicing it. When you feel it, when you feel that it's so accessible to you, you just cannot live without it anymore. And you could start, if you want to start receiving these intuitive inspirations and insights, then you could just start with 10 minutes, sitting quietly 10 minutes a day, or sitting for 5 minutes a day, if it's hard to sit for 10, and then see what comes, what kind of thoughts would come, right? So it's all experimenting. And then number 10 is looking at your environment more carefully, examining your environment. That means that looking at your relationships with other people, like family, friends, colleagues, your financial situation, physical environment at home. Sometimes it's really interesting to see how our physical environment reflects actually who we are, and just observing these patterns, because this is all of this reflects the thoughts that we learned from childhood. Those programs that are playing on the background, that we want to change. Very often we just want to change or erase the thoughts that are not making us happy. So when we are observing them, we are already making the first shift. It's easy to change these thoughts if we can identify them and say that, okay, this is a thought about let's say this is a thought about my mother, and it's related to our experience together. So just looking at these thoughts and maybe journaling a little bit about it will be really healing for your relationship with other people and with yourself. So it's a process. Learning to be more self-aware, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. So this quote here says that being self-aware is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to learn and correct them. So it doesn't mean that we will become perfect, but we can look at the past, look at our thoughts, and just with curiosity. I think curiosity is a very good attitude to have. So now I want to talk about these helpful attitudes. Curiosity is one, open-mindedness instead of judgment, right? So we are looking at ourselves, but not to judge, but just to say, okay, this is one way of seeing it, but is there any other way? Could be sometimes hard to do in the moment, but it's possible to do it over time. So even if you're noticing that, okay, I'm reacting like this right now, but next time, is there any other way to do it? Is there any other way to react? So something like this could be helpful. And then consistency. For me, this second one was the key. Consistency instead of distraction. And that's because our mind is used to being distracted by so many different things. So we don't have a habit of consistency. So it needs we need to really build that habit by doing something over a period of time. So I read somewhere that 21 days is a period of time when a habit can be built. But actually, there is another research, and I think it's really specific to a person and to a situation. So, but doing something consistently. So if you decided to start the day with writing a little bit in your journal, try to do it every day. Of course, nothing will happen if you forget one day, but try to do it consistently. Then the results will be almost immediate if you have that consistency. And then community, cooperation instead of competition. So community is really important. And if you have a friend who has the same goal of, let's say, of creating more peace in your life, together you can do so much more, because you're going to support each other and make yourself accountable, right? And just ask each other how you're doing, because together we are just so powerful. So some of the tools that I found useful. So it's a lot of information. And how much time do we have? We have not so much time. So one tool that you can find useful if you're in the middle of a negative emotion. So let's say you feel really upset or angry or stressed about something. Then this pausing for inspiration can be helpful. So the key is to remember to pause and to step back, invite the inspiration from your wisest self, and then let that inspiration guide your actions. So pausing for a moment and saying that I'm going to step aside, I'm going to step back, and I'm going to invite the inspiration and let that inspiration come. Very often when you pause, you will notice that you actually, that reaction was not coming from your wisest self, right? If we are in a negative state. Meditation can be helpful. I already mentioned this. Gratitude. Gratitude is another helpful attitude that could be really healing and transformational. And just noticing what you're grateful for will create more of the same and attract more of the same. Positive affirmations can be a good start as well. And Louise Hay wrote many books on this. I think with positive affirmations, it's really helpful to feel them and not to just repeat. So positive affirmations is basically choosing a sentence that inspires you. Let's say, I trust in the abundance of the universe. Or, I can succeed in whatever I start. Right? But just repeating it, if you don't believe it, probably it's not gonna make too much difference. But if we just try to feel into this and feel what is the reaction to this affirmation, then over time it will have its effect, because then we can feel, okay, maybe I don't believe in this, maybe I don't believe that I trust that the universe is abundant, but I can say, I trust a little more today that the universe is abundant. So you can change these affirmations that fits you. And then spiritual practice is very helpful. It was very helpful to me. And for me, A Course in Miracles became my spiritual practice. It's a book that is that thick, if you haven't seen it. And but it's so inspiring, and it really speaks to my heart. It has 365 lessons for each day of the year. And this became my lessons that I actually took to heart and did this practice over the years. Last 5 years I was doing the lessons from the course. And then it could be some other book that inspires you. It could be just praying and connecting to God, to the spirit, to the universe, whatever you want to call it. Could be dancing, could be a spiritual practice, right? Anything can become your spiritual practice. My friend said this weekend, she said, nature is my spiritual practice. I love spending time in nature. And then I found also Bach flower essences really helpful in shifting the emotional state. And I want to tell you about one of them, Bach flower rescue remedy. Rescue remedy is a combination of 5 different flowers, and it's really helpful when you really have a hard time. Let's say there is a project or there is a deadline and you really have a hard day, maybe. So rescue remedy can shift the vibration up so that your emotions are not going to be so overwhelming. So that's what I recommend. I'm actually going to send you a link to the rescue remedy. You can buy it online, and it doesn't cost so much. And then energy psychology is what we actually did today with tapping. That's one of the methods of energy psychology that I'm practicing, TFT. And then there are others, there are many others. And I found it the most helpful for me for changing limiting beliefs, getting rid of the past trauma, and just changing emotions from negative to positive in a very short amount of time. Astrology and numerology is my passion, and I think you can learn so much about yourself from just looking at this. It's like learning a different language, and language of symbols is what I like to learn, and numerology is just symbols and astrology. And then I can look at it, look at the chart, and see what is this person's talents and what are the lessons that you're learning here. So it's very fascinating to me. And finally, I want to read this quote to you. Once you're clear about who you are, what you want to become, and the value you want to create in the world, your mind will self-organize to pull you into that destiny. So that's really is a good quote to end today. And I want to just tell you briefly about the course that I'm starting this Friday. This course is going to be called Transforming Your Life Through Self-Awareness. It's going to be 4 weeks, starting this Friday. We're going to meet online from 11 to 1, so two hours every week. And we're going to actually apply all of these tools that I talked about. Looking at, first we're going to look at beliefs and values. Changing the beliefs that we need to change. That's going to be the first week. The second week we'll be looking at emotions, and then the foundation, like mindful eating and exercise. So building the self-care habits that we need to go deeper. And then looking at the environment is week 3. Home, friends, family, this relationship that we have, observing some patterns that may be coming from the past and that we can change and release. Right now actually is a very good time, and actually a very good time for our webinar as well during the full moon in Sagittarius today, and the solstice, summer solstice. So everything is light right now, illuminated, and everything is ready for us to change our beliefs. And then finally, week 4 will be looking at your life purpose and personal mission. In this course, I'm thinking to combine all of my passions, astrology, numerology, and look at your astrological chart and see what is your life purpose, what is your passion. The cost for this class is $80, and you can sign up on my website. So yeah, what's going to be included? 4 2-hour classes, worksheets for each class, and overview of your astrology chart. It's going to happen throughout the course, and looking at your chart and numerology so that you can become more aware of who you are deep inside and connect with the wisest part of you. So I wanted to share this, and if you feel it resonates with you, then join me for the class. I know that we have a few people who are going to be in the class today. Good. So finally, I want to end with a question. I want to ask you, what is one activity or one thing you would like to start doing beginning tomorrow? Or maybe beginning today. One change that you would like to implement in your life that would shift the level of energy that you have right now. Think about that. Let's all think about this one change that you would like to start implementing. I will think also. And you can write it in the chat. I'm writing for myself dancing, because I really enjoyed that class that I did last Thursday. It was a conscious dance class. It's just like it's music and moving with that music freely. Anastasia, I will start taking the bug essence. Okay, I will send the link to that rescue remedy. It's a 5-flower combination that is effective for stress release, for any emergency. I can also actually recommend you one that is specifically for your emotions, because there are 36 of them, and they are really specific for a specific emotional state. Gretchen, we'll start doing yoga more often. Great. That's one of my commitments as well to myself. Positive self-talk. Galina. Yes. Very good. So now imagine how your life would be different when you will start doing yoga and that practicing positive self-talk, and even noticing when it's not positive, because it's interesting. When we pay attention, it changes. When we pay attention to something, it transforms. Our attention has this really magical property. When we look at something, it can transform just because we are paying attention. So yeah. And I'm gonna do more body movements. Just could be going for yoga or just walking more. Exactly, Alice. Thank you. Walking in nature, right? Or yoga, as I said, or dancing. So imagine right now your life when you're doing more of this walking, yoga, whatever you decided, and it's your commitment to your self-care, to yourself. Let's take a deep breath together. Make that commitment inside of you. And you can say to yourself, I commit to be more loving to myself and to making these changes that are necessary. I want to congratulate you for making it to this webinar. I really enjoyed seeing all of you. And we spent 1 hour together. I could actually spend much more with you because I really love being together. So thank you so much. And I feel that level of commitment that you have to loving yourself more and to creating more peace in your life. So I'm excited for all the changes that you will create. And let's stay in touch. I'm going to send you a few links that I mentioned today for Bach, flower essences, and anything else. If I remember anything else, you can always ask me questions after the webinar. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Let me look at your names. Alice, thank you. Thank you, Gretchen, Anastasia, Galina. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Galina asked if anybody knows any fun movies to watch. I'm going to think about that. And if something comes to mind, I will email you. Funny movies. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Have a wonderful week.